So the Springboks will be taking on Romania as a part of Pool B in the Rugby World Cup 2023. And the big question on a lot of people's minds is how is the Springbok side going to match up stylistically with so many changes that they have made in their team up against a hungry Romanian side who were able to get themselves the first try up against the Irish. Unfortunately, though, that was the only one that they managed to get. But throughout this preview, we will be looking through at the lineups, key players to watch out for, their previous result in the Rugby World Cup, and then a score prediction at the end for who we think will be walking away with the victory. Spoiler, one team has a pretty good chance of winning this game. But jumping straight into it, the Springboks, they did announce their side quite early on in the week, and with that announcement came a little bit of surprise in terms of what they had gone with. They made a lot of changes compared to their first game up against Scotland. I think the big talking point was the fact that there were 4 halfbacks across their side. We will start, of course, with the 4-pack, and they are going to be as follows. Oxford Shab, Bongi Umbanambi, and Vincent Koch will be the front row. Umbanambi captain for this game, and recently we found out the news that Malcolm Marx will be out for the rest of this Rugby World Cup, which still leaves a gap that they will be able to fill in the squad. There's been rumours that it could be Pollard. There's been rumours that they might bring in a hooker or maybe somewhere else in the squad is where we do see their replacement. But looking at the locks, it is Jean Klein and number 4, and then number 5, Marvin Ori. So 2 men who didn't play in last week's game. Number 6, Maka van Staden. Number 7, they have gone with Kwaka Smith. And then number 8, the experienced veteran in Dwayne Vermeulen. Quite a few people didn't expect to see his name in the starting lineup, but I believe that this game is a little bit of a trial. Jasper Wiese played very well in the last match up against Scotland. Dwayne Vermeulen, he came off the bench in that game, now gets the start here. And I would say whoever has the better game out of those two will actually be the one who starts. Up against Ireland, looking through at the backline, the first of 4 halfbacks is playing in the legitimate 9 position. That is Kobus Reinach. Number 10, they have gone with Damien Valimza to play 15 in the last game. Makazole Mapimpi, first game for him of the Rugby World Cup, out on the left wing. The centres, it will be Andre Esterhuizen as well as Kanan Moody, the combination that cut through the All Blacks defence in their Rugby World Cup warm-up game. Number 14, Grant Williams, second halfback, and number 15 to close out the side, it is Willie LaRue. The bench is looking very strong as well. They have gone with the 5-3, including the 2 halfbacks of Faf de Klerk and Jaden Hendrickse. Then for Romania, when it comes to their starting lineup, they've actually made limited changes. I believe only 3 or 4 players different from what they did have in the match up against Ireland. The front row still identical, with it being Hartig, Kojukaru and Gordis. Then in the lock and joy, they have actually made a change at 5. In the last game it was Iancu, but now for this game it is FD McKeoch. Number 4, they have also still gone with Motic. Looking through at the loose board trio, this is also where they have just made the one change. Gordon at number 6 rather than Russo from last week. Nicolau keeps his spot at 7, and the captain, Tarika, is still at number 8. In the backline, Rapanu and Valvasa. Now, they were quite a dangerous combination last week up against Ireland. I felt that Valvasa, if Romania did have a man of the match for their side, it would have been him. He was breaking the line, creating opportunities. The problem is, Ireland were able to create themselves a lot more, and it's whether or not Romania can put the pressure on the Springboks early. With the fact that it's not going to be as hot, might mean Romania stay in the match a little bit longer. Out on the left wing, this is where they have got Anutu, who did actually play on the right wing for the last game. The same can be said about their right winger. It is Manumua, who was playing on the left wing last week, so deciding to straight swap them. Whether or not that is something they've seen in terms of those 2 Springbok wingers, and Mapimpi and Grant Williams. And to be honest, I think it will be something to do with the pace of Grant Williams. They've decided that they need Unotu marking him rather than Manumua, who is a little bit slower off the mark. In the centres, they've made a change at number 12 rather than Tangamana from last week. It is Gontaniak, and then at number 13 they have stuck with Jason Tomani. And then number 15 to close out the starting lineup, a man who did get himself a yellow card in the last game. It is Simeon Sku. He will be hoping to have better discipline throughout this game. Although from the scrum that we saw from the Springboks in their last game up against Scotland, when it gets going, it's going to be very hard for Romania to defend that, even though they have got a relatively big 4-pack. But looking through at key players for the South Africans, it's a tricky one because every player probably has an argument to say that they will be key throughout this game. I think big Dwayne Vermeulen at number 8 with that little bit of extra experience that he's got under his belt. He'll be looking to prove himself so that he can play in the Irish game. And yes, he's already proven himself in the past, so I wouldn't be surprised if they give him that start But with Jasper Wiese off the bench, of course, there's a little bit of a head-to-head battle going on between those two to see who gets more minutes throughout this Rugby World Cup. In the back line, I'm looking forward to this midfield combo. Andre Esterhuizen and Kane Moody. I feel that they will find real success throughout this game. I predicted it in the podcast episode that we would see Moody get a hat-trick. I'm sticking with that. Let's see whether or not it does pay off. And then for the Romanians, if we had to pick some key players, I would have to go with Onutu, because if he can shut down Grant Williams, maybe Romania find themselves a little bit of success out on that wing. Valvasa at 10 as well, like I mentioned, absolutely brilliant in the game up against the Irish. Hopefully we'll be able to do it once more. And in that forward back, of course, the captaincy. And in that forward back, of course, the captaincy of Tareka will be very important. Try and keep morale high with the side. Try and get them fired up into this contest, because I feel like if Romania play well, it actually benefits both teams. Because the Springboks, maybe they won't be as dominant as they would have liked, and that will teach them a few things moving forward on how to be more clinical when it does get to those games up against Ireland or the quarterfinals. And for Romania, this is just about keeping it close. We saw France versus Uruguay. The brilliant performance from Uruguay. It's now got the Rugby World talking about them, and Romania, after scoring that first try of Rupanu up against Ireland, everyone had that little glimmer in their eye and went, hang on, is there a chance we see the first massive upset in this Rugby World Cup? And to be honest, we haven't had that yet. So we're waiting to see who the team will be that can cause the problems. But looking through at the previous fixtures for these two sides, for South Africa, they have just played the one game in the Rugby World Cup. It was up against Scotland, 18 points to 3. They managed to score themselves 2 tries in that game, one for Peter Steftotoy and one for Kurtley Arendse. Neither of those two men playing in this game today. Also, they did have Mani Libok as the number 10. Here's another player that has been left out of the side, so it's a bit more of a new-look Springboks team, and it's going to be interesting to see how all of those halfbacks work in unison alongside the rest of the team, see how well they can end up going. For the Romanians, they have only had one fixture also. It was up against the Irish. It was 82 points to 8. But as I said, Romania scoring themselves the first try of the match with Rupanu, and he'll be hoping to do just that once more. Now moving on to the stage of this video where we do give our score prediction. Now, this is a very tricky game to predict because the Springboks have made a lot of changes, and they're going to be making a lot of changes throughout the match. When it comes to where those halfbacks are playing, we could see Faf de Klerk come on as the replacement 10. We could see at a stretch maybe Reinach go out to the left wing. We could see 4 halfbacks in their back line for the Springboks near the end of the game. Is that going to hurt them, or is that going to be just more options to be able to score tries? I think the Springboks are still going to go very well in this game. There have been talks all week about whether or not they can score more tries than what the Irish were able to. It seems to be that rivalry as we move towards those quarterfinals is really starting to pick up. I'm going to say that they do get more points, the Springboks, in this game, but I don't think it's going to tell them as much as they want to know, because up against a Romanian defensive line, having 2 halfbacks on the field may be very effective, but perhaps against a strong side, it won't quite have that same momentum. But I think that this game they are going to be strong. I think they're going to be scoring a lot of points. I mentioned a hat-trick for Kane Moody, so that's at least 15 points scored for them, but I'm going to go one better and say that they win this game 87 points to 3. Now, in my original prediction, I believe I was around that 80 points to 3 mark, but I've increased it a little bit more just because I think late in the game, the Springboks will be that little bit more fired up to try and get that one more try than the Irish were able to. But thank you all very much for tuning in to this preview. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We will be live on the channel doing the commentary for this game, so also be sure to check that out. Let me know what your score prediction is in the comments below and who you think will be getting man of the match. And I will see you all for the next one.